beautiful plenty people. It's Skully and welcome to Skully's Creations, where we talk about plants and occasionally do a project here and there. If that sounds like your thing, please subscribe. It really does help me out and I really just appreciate it. So today we are going to talk about plants that I have killed in the past year. I'm actually going to categorize them into the reasons why and then all the plants that I actually killed. And I was inspired by Harley. She just released a video about the plants that she's struggling with, and I was already thinking of doing this video, and after seeing that I was like, yes, I have to share this. I have to share it because I do want to be realistic with you guys, and part of being a plant parent is killing plants. That's actually how you learn. And yeah, once you kill a plant, more than likely you can try again. And I think after like 2 times or 2 or 3 times, if you really love the plant, by all means go for it again. But personally, after like 3 times of buying a plant, and if I kill it after the 3rd time, I just don't think that plant's for me, and that's okay. That's okay. So we're gonna get started on that. Oh my god, this is gonna be so embarrassing, but you know what? No, it's not. It's not gonna be embarrassing. It's just realistic. So yeah, don't mind me. I'm gonna have my notes because it's about, in total, I'll let you know, it's 13 plants. 13 plants that I killed in 1 year. And considering it's a whole year, and it was my first year of being a plant parent, I don't know. It's not too shabby if I don't say so myself, you know what I mean? Alright, so number 1, we're gonna start with cold damage. Now, it was, oh my god, if I can, let me get some water. I can't talk right now. Okay, I'm back and my throat feels way better. I don't know what's going on. I just ate, so maybe that had something to do with it. Anyways, so cold damage. First of all, cold damage basically happened when the temperatures drop. It's too cold for the plant, hence the name cold damage. The plant is damaged because of the cold. Cool. Now, on top of that, cold damage, what it looks like, it looks like an overwatered plant. The foliage is usually super droopy, or if you have maybe like a succulent, they're super squishy. So it looks like an overwatered plant. So that's cold damage. And the reason why I got cold damage on my plants is because we were right around that time where it was going to drop temperatures, but you still weren't sure when. And because I hadn't experienced cold damage, I didn't think about checking the temperature before I left, and I had gone over to my boyfriend's for just a few days. But when I returned, then that's when I saw my plants and I was like, oh no, why didn't I bring them inside before I left? So, and that's another reason why that I want to share my mistakes with you guys, is because that way you can learn from them too. So what I should have done before I left my boyfriend's for those few days, even if it was still warm the day that I left, I should have checked the temperatures to see if they were going to drop, or you should just check the temperatures before you leave if you have any plants outside, is my opinion. Because that way you know what you need to do with your plants, right? And again, learn from my mistakes, check those temperatures before you leave your home. If it's, about to be cold and you just don't know yet, just check. Because again, when I came back, I just came back to some really sad looking plants. And other than one, none of them were salvageable. And then I'll tell you about another one that I really don't know how she came back to life, but she did. So let's get into the plants that I killed, and I will tell you in the end the 2 that I was able to, well, the one that I was able to save, and then the other one that like came back from the dead. I don't know. I still don't know how that happened, but because she was, as my sister says, my sister's about to be 8, by the way. Happy birthday, Ivy, almost. But yeah, she like does that. She'd be like, hey sis, did your plant like, and I'm like, no. Anyways, moving on. First plant is the croton. Yes. And I had a croton and it was thriving and it was doing good. It likes being outside. The colors were still wonderful. I didn't have any issues with the croton. But when I came back, it was done. It was completely done. There was no saving it. It was completely limp. And even when I got into the roots to try to see if anything was salvageable, nope. All the roots were basically squishy as well. So yeah, it's just, cold damage doesn't look cute. I mean, no dead plant looks cute, but there's just something about cold damaged plants that's like, ew. Anyways, oh, and they smell weird too. Just next plant is a euphorbia. Yep, I had a euphorbia outside. It was doing pretty well, and when I came back, same deal. It was just really squishy, and what I did was chop off the whole thing, and I tried to just take care of because euphorbias are really, really tough plants. So I tried to just take care of the bottom portion and hope that eventually, by giving it some sun, some love, it would, regrow. It did not. It did not regrow. Nope. So I had to let that one go after I realized that even the roots were not retaining any water. Like, it just wasn't. Nothing was gonna happen with this plant. So I had to toss it out, Moving on to the next two plants, they were two ponytail palms. And I was the most sad about these because not only did I get these two significantly large ponytail palms, I mean, in comparison to what you get, I got them for free, both of them. And I was super excited because I had already really wanted a ponytail palm, but I didn't want to get one that was too small because they do take a while to grow. And oh, y'all don't see him, but Zar just came and laid by my feet. He's did you know, fun fact, not related to plants, but Shih Tzus were actually feet warmers, back in the day. I don't know, that's, anyways, fun fact. Anyways, the caudex of which is basically the bulbous looking thing. So all of that was squishy. And that's why I say cold damaged plants look like overwatered plants, because if you've overwatered your ponytail palm, that is actually what happens as well. It gets really squishy, and that's what happened to these two ponytail palms. Again, I tried to keep them because these are also pretty tough plants, and they didn't make it, and that's okay. The one that I was able to save, one I didn't, one I did, was a snake plant. And again, same deal. The snake plant was completely limp, very squishy. That one was completely gone. I did have one snake plant in the ground, and for whatever reason, that one wasn't too limp. So I went ahead and I took that one out, and that one I was able to save. And I'll actually show you what it looks like now. So here she is. She's super tiny, but when I saved her, I had maybe this one and two other leaves, these shorter ones right here. So she didn't have a lot. So she's done all this growth within the past year. So she has some growth coming in right here. This is getting a little bit longer, but yeah, she was much shorter, and she was about this size. Yeah, so she was about right here with, I mean, most of these leaves, I think, other than maybe an exception of this one, which is new. But yeah, she was really short, she was really tiny, and maybe that's why, for whatever reason, and again, she was in the ground, so maybe the ground kept her a little bit warm, other than the ones that were in the pots. I have no idea, but she was semi-okay, and I did take her out of the ground, repotted her, and she has been okay and thriving ever since. So that's a good one. That's a positive, but I did lose the other snake plant. Now this last one is really weird. So I So I lost a aloe plant, and I have no idea how this happened, but again, the aloe plant super squishy, the roots completely done. I had like it was completely done. I thought that it was completely dead. So I have like this little section in my backyard where I throw away plants that, have I throw away dead plants. So I just throw them in that like little section. But come springtime, I was throwing away another plant that I unalived, and I see this like a little green thing, little green thing, and I'm like, wait, what is that? And I look closer, and it's the aloe plant that I threw away. So again, I have no idea how this happened. I just threw it to the backyard, and it eventually rooted itself up again, and it became an aloe plant again. And I really should have just left it there, but I dug it out, and we'll get to that one later. But she regrew on her own, but technically she did have cold damage. So for the cold damage plants, that's it. That is all that I killed due to cold damage. Next up, overwatering slash root rot. Yep, I know we've all been there. It's okay. So have I. It's a part of learning. So basically, when you overwater your plant, you cause the plant roots to rot. You can also get root rot by underwatering, but we'll talk about that when I talk about underwatering plants. But overwatering, it's not about how much water you've put into the plant, because for example, if the plant needs water, it's completely dry, you can absolutely saturate it and keep on going until you feel that the soil is completely saturated in water. Let it drain and you'll be fine. But if you do that and then a day later or 2 days later, the plant is still pretty watered and you put more water in that's when those issues start occurring, because causing root rot and overwatering is more about how often you're watering your plant, not how much you water your plant when it needs. So yeah, that's basically it. You've put water way too much in this plant, and these roots can't retain any more water, so they just rot. Signs of root rot: yellowing leaves, limp foliage. If y'all know any other signs, please leave them in the comments below. But off of the top of my head, those are the only ones that I can remember as far as looking for root rot. Is if your leaves are yellowing and your soil is moist, that could be a sign. Or if your plant foliage is like super limp and it's already and the soil is wet. So check that out if that's happening with your plants. And again, if y'all have any other signs that I can't think of as of right now other than those two, please leave them in the comments below. I would appreciate it, and I'm sure someone else might as well. So the plants that I overwatered, number one was basically my very first plant, which was my peace lily. Man, this peace lily was massive. It was massive. It had so many blooms on it. It was beautiful. And I decided to take it out of its pot. It was root bound anyway, so I figured it needed to be repotted, which it did, but it also like could have waited just a little bit. But what I did was I separated them and I put them into pots with no drainage. And this was before I knew how to water a plant with no drainage, which, so you know, if you water a plant with no drainage, you either don't water as much, but what I do is I'll still saturate, let the water soak, and then after it's soaked there for maybe like 5 minutes or so, like 3 to 5 minutes, what I'll do is like flip the plant and like, not flip the plant, but like put the plant on its side and let the excess water drain. And then that way your plant isn't sitting in water, which causes root rot. So that's what I did. I put them in pots without any drainage, and I just gave them a good water, and then I just left them and I put them on a window seal, and then I left and went about my day. And literally like 2 days later, so many yellowing leaves, and it was on all of them. So I was like, oh, what is going on? And because I was a noob, I was like, okay, well, maybe they need more water. And I watered them even more. Oh my god, it sounds so ridiculous saying it out loud. But when you're a new plant parent, you don't think of these things. Like, I mean, isn't you? I don't know. It's just experience, right? But yeah, so I decided to give them more water and more yellowing leaves. So what I did was I did some research, and somewhere I found, possible root rot, and I was like, that kind of looks like, let me go check. I took them out of their pots, and sure enough, super mushy roots. And okay, now what do I do to fix this? What I did to help them is I separated them, I cut off all the roots, I tried doing the hydrogen peroxide thing, and eventually not all of them made it. Some of them rotted all the way to the actual stem itself, so I had to let those go. I had left it in water, by the way. I basically killed more than half of that plant. Like, I literally only had 2 pieces left. And from those 2 pieces, I was able to save them both. One is at my boyfriend's house, and one is actually here. So yeah, this is the other piece that I saved, and now she's bloomed, she's doing great, she's thriving. But yeah, I've definitely mentioned her in a lot of my other videos because I'm really proud that I was able to save her, and also to the point where now she's blooming. Like, that makes me really, really excited, and I feel a little bit proud, And when things like this happen to you too, you should also feel proud, because I know that is a lot of work that you put into a plant, which is another reason why I think plants are so rewarding, is because you put in this work and then they grow and they give back. And so anyways, that's just that. But yeah, my peace lily. The second plant that I overwatered or gave root rot to was actually a marble queen pothos. I know, it's an easy plant. How did you do this? Well, I'll tell you how, and I will also recommend you never do this, like, ever. So I technically gave it root rot because what I was doing is I was replanting it because I wanted to give some pieces to my boyfriend's mom, because whenever I have a plant, I always give her a little bit, or I just give plants away. So I was separating it. And when I was separating them, there was a few that had enough new soil to use, but the last few ones that I was separating and I was potting, I didn't have enough soil. So I decided to reuse the soil that was in this Marble Queen's pot. But here's the thing, the plant was super root bound, and I had to pull a lot of those roots out. And when I pulled those roots broke and got mixed into the soil, and I reused that same soil and put it in this pot that I was gonna water. And here's the thing, there's dead roots in there. What do you think is gonna happen with those dead roots? They're going to rot. Root rot is also like, it's kind of I want to say it's kind of like contagious, because like if one root is rotted and it touches another root, then that root's also going to rot, so then it ends up spreading. So that's why whenever you do have root rot, you want to make sure that you clean and disinfect whatever pots you are using, so none of that like bacteria or none of that rot goes to another plant. That's just a little tip there. So anyways, that's how I gave root rot to my Marble Queen pothos. Don't do that. If you can avoid reusing your soil, do it. Or at least if you know you've broken off some roots, don't reuse that. So yeah, so that's that. But those are the only 2 that I overwatered. After those experiences, I'm very, very careful with my plants, which actually leads me to underwatering. Yes, underwatering. I also have underwatered the plants. So I think what ended up happening is I went from overwatering to underwatering because I was so scared to overwater my plants that I ended up underwatering my plants. So Also, you can get root rot by underwatering your plants, and how this happens is the roots dried out so much that it could no longer retain water anymore. So I ended up with a plant with root rot again. So the plant that I specifically underwatered and gave root rot to, those were my succulents. Yep, those were my succulents. I killed at least 3 succulents because here's another thing, like succulents, they can go a long time without any water because they hold water in their succulent leaves, but they're a little bit soft and squishy. That's a good sign where you should water your succulent because then it will regain its water and then your succulent leaf is more plump. But I don't know if I forgot about it. I just let it get so dry. Like it was really squishy. Like it's like shriveled up. It was shriveling up because it was using the water in its leaf to sustain itself. And then I give it a good drink and it was too late. The roots were already so dry that it wasn't retaining any water at all. So goodbye succulents. That's what happened. I unalived 3 of those. Now the other ones they were just underwatered. I didn't give it root rot. It was just a crispy death. Yeah, it was just a really crispy death. So that would be my 2 Petunias, also known as nerve plants. They were doing really well whenever they were in like a bathroom environment, but here at this place, I have a windowless bathroom, so that wasn't gonna work for them. I just had them in a room, normal, not much humidity around, and they got super leggy, and that's already not cute. Like leggy plants are not cute. Well, I guess if you like leggy plants, that's your thing. Okay, cool. I don't really like leggy plants, and one again, they weren't cute. I wanted the Petunia to look really bushy. And so I was like, okay, well, let me give it more light. So I put it in a sunnier spot, and I guess it was too much of a sunny spot, and it basically just crisped up, and it was just completely dry. And yeah, they both died. And well, one of them died, and the second one, honestly, I just didn't feel like doing anymore. So I threw her in the backyard too, and was like, if you want to live like my aloe did, go for it. But Petunias are not that resilient. But so yeah, that's the one that I underwatered. They totally crisped up and kicked the bucket there. The other one that, my goodness, and I have tried at least 3 times to keep this plant alive, and I don't think I'll be successful unless I put it in a terrarium, which is, oh, also, just like a little side note, Petunias are also really great in terrariums. That's the only way I've been able to keep mine alive. And I still have a few because I took cuttings of the one that I just didn't feel like dealing with anymore. I took cuttings of that one and then I let it kick the bucket. But yes, I put it in a terrarium and they're still doing really good. I think with this next plant, it would be the same thing because I don't know, I couldn't get the watering right. The humidity, I couldn't get that right either. And I'm talking about the polka dot plant, which is very, very similar to the Petunia. They're very similar as far as care goes, but they are different. Petunia looks more like a nerve, and polka dot plant, well, it has polka dots on it, and they're really cute and they're really pretty. And I wish they weren't so hard to keep alive, but like I'll have leaves just falling off every day, and I'm keeping it watered. It's not a watering thing. Like I think it's a humidity thing, because I've kept it watered. I've even kept it like in a bathroom, and it like still wasn't high enough. But that one, leaves will fall off. They would crisp up, and it just eventually passed into planty heaven. So yep, polka dot plant. The last 2 plants that I killed for the year was begonias. I had 2 begonias, and well, here's the thing. One of them I definitely know needed way more humidity, and I think that was the issue with it because there was a lot of crisping on the edges, and again, one leaf would fall and another leaf would fall, and eventually I was kind of just done with that one too. But the other begonia, I was super sad about because it was pink, and I absolutely love pink plants. But what ended up happening is I got root mealy bugs, so I had to treat the plant, and that begonia didn't make the treatment. And basically how I had to treat the root mealy bugs was putting the roots in not like boiling water, but somewhat of hot water, and the roots, it was just too delicate of a plant that it didn't make it. So I was really sad about that. I ended up also trying to propagate that, but then I moved the propagation and it didn't survive after that, which I, I kicked myself in the butt for that too, because I was like, oh, I should have just left it alone until I got stronger. And anyways, if you can, leave your propagations in wherever they're propagating as long as possible, until you know that they are good, strong, and ready to go. Propagations usually don't do good in change of environment, and I think that's what ended up happening with my begonia that I was propagating. So yeah, those were my last two plants that I unalived for the year. So yeah, that was all 13 plants, and oh my goodness, it's embarrassing, but at the same time, it's a good embarrassment because I know that these mistakes that I've made are only going to make me better as a plant parent, and by me sharing my mistakes with you, I really hope this helps you avoid these mistakes, or maybe just helps you remember, hey, maybe I need to check my temperature next time I leave, or maybe I should make sure that I give that plant water so I'm not underwatering it, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that is it for this video. As always, if you stuck with me to the end, you are it. You are the one. Yes, you're awesome. I really do appreciate you guys. I see you guys. It just really warms my heart, and it really shows me that I'm doing something right for you guys, and I just want to continue doing that for y'all. Yep, and that's really it. Again, if you like these videos, make sure to hit that like button. If you didn't, leave a comment below letting me know what you would like to see instead. And if you like the video in general, or you like this type of content, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the things. It really does help me out, and again, I really do appreciate it. So yep, I will just see you in my next video next week. Have a wonderful planty day. Bye.